At the turn of the 19th century, breakfast cereals were mostly unheard of. Only a couple people had made anything that resembled what we know as modern cereal. They were typically made out of rice or a wheat product that required soaking overnight. Today, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of options for breakfast cereal, and there is one brand that turned this industry into what it has become today. Kellogg's Corn Flakes is one of the most iconic breakfast cereals in the world. Since its creation over a century ago, it has become a household name and a staple of breakfast tables everywhere. This simple yet delicious cereal has stood the test of time. Corn Flakes has a rich, flavorful, bitter, and maybe even spicy history. John Harvey Kellogg was an American physician, surgeon, and health reformer who was born on February 26, 1852 in Tyrone Township, Michigan. He received his medical degree from the New York University School of Medicine in 1875. After completing his medical training, Kellogg returned to Michigan to work at the Battle Creek Sanitarium, which was run by the Seventh-day Adventist Church. In addition to his work at the sanitarium, Kellogg was also a prolific author and wrote extensively on health and wellness. He authored over 50 books, including The Art of Massage in 1895, The New Dietetics in 1911, and The Road to Wellness in 1936. Kellogg's contributions to the field of medicine and health reform were significant. Some of his ideas and practices have had a lasting impact on the way we approach health and wellness today. Most importantly, Dr. Kellogg was a staunch believer in vegetarianism and advocated for a diet that was free of meat, alcohol, caffeine, and tobacco. John believed that a bland diet could help reduce sexual urges and promote good health. He often served his patients bland foods such as boiled grains, vegetables, and bread. John was not known for being fun at parties. Will Keith Kellogg's education was limited. He was the seventh of 16 children, and he dropped out of school at the age of 14 to work as a broom maker in his father's factory. However, he was an avid reader and was largely self-educated. Will was particularly interested in business and entrepreneurship, and he spent much of his free time reading books and magazines on these subjects. In 1876, at the age of 16, Will joined his older brother at the Battle Creek Sanitarium. Here, he began working as a bookkeeper and assistant to John, who was the medical director of the sanitarium. While John and his younger brother were working at the sanitarium, Will had noticed that many of the patients at the sanitarium were complaining about the heavy breakfast they were being served. They wanted something lighter, something healthier. So, Will proposed an idea. They would create a new breakfast cereal. At the time, there was really only one existing cereal, and Will saw an opening to create a new product. John was skeptical at first, but he eventually agreed to give it a try. The two brothers got to work in the sanitarium's kitchen. They started experimenting with different grains and finally settled on corn. They cooked up a batch of corn, rolled it out, and let it dry. They called their creation Granose Flakes. It is unknown to historians why this product failed with such a catchy name. They tasted them, and they were terrible. They were bland, flavorless, and just plain boring. At first, no one was interested in the cornflakes. Most people, who are not sanitarium patients, preferred their breakfasts greasy and full of sugar. But the Kellogg men were determined to make cornflakes a hit. They came up with aggressive marketing campaigns that would make people want to eat cornflakes. They hired a team of acrobats to perform stunts while eating cornflakes. They wrote jingles and even were responsible for the first toys or prizes within their cereal boxes. People started buying cornflakes, and soon Kellogg's cornflakes became a household name. Over time, they refined the recipe and process for making the flakes until eventually they became the delicious and popular breakfast cereal that we know today. However, there was disagreement between the brothers about which direction to take their new product. Being a vegetarian, John Kellogg never wanted cornflakes to be sweet, so cornflakes were made to taste bland on purpose. But Will had other ideas. He added so much sugar that the flakes were practically candy. He tasted them, and they were delicious. Dr. Kellogg was not happy about this. Having a PhD in obvious studies, he believed that sugar was bad for you, and that a healthy diet was the key to good health. He was appalled that his brother had added so much sugar to their new breakfast cereal. John believed that his brother had ruined the healthy breakfast cereal that he had created, but Will had other ideas. He knew that people loved sugar. They were making money hand over fist, and he wasn't about to let his buzzkill brother ruin their new business venture. So, he continued to sell sugar flakes under the table. Soon, the two brothers were at odds. John wanted cornflakes to be the flagship cereal of their new business. Will wanted sugar flakes to be the top seller. Their disagreement came to a head one day when John walked into the kitchen and caught his brother adding sugar to a batch of cornflakes. He was furious. He accused his brother of ruining their new business venture. The younger Kellogg brother didn't back down. He believed that his version of the cereal was better, and he was determined to prove it. So, he took matters into his own hands. He had secretly started his own cereal company called the Kellogg Toasted Cornflake Company. Around the same time, John decided to create his own version of the cereal. He called it Cornflakes. He made the flakes taste bland on purpose to encourage people to eat them with milk and fruit. He believed that this was the healthiest way to eat cereal. The Kellogg brothers were now in direct competition with each other. John was furious that his brother had gone behind his back and started his own company. He sued Will for stealing his recipe and his business. The two brothers ended up in court, arguing over who had the rights to the recipe for cornflakes. The case went on for years, and it was bitter and ugly. In the end, Will won the lawsuit, but it was a hollow victory. The damage had already been done. Sadly, the dispute between the brothers lasted for decades, even after the matter was settled in court. Both brothers held onto their bitterness towards each other until the end of their lives. Will's bitterness cost him 2 marriages and his sons distancing themselves from him. Despite the Kellogg family being torn apart, generations of people have benefited from and enjoyed their legacy. Cornflakes have endured as a popular cereal for over 100 years. Today, the Kellogg's brothers' cornflakes are enjoyed all over the world. They might not be as healthy as Dr. John Harvey Kellogg originally intended, but they are tasty. If you're looking for a healthy breakfast, you might want to skip the cornflakes. But if you're looking for a delicious breakfast, Kellogg's cornflakes are hard to beat.